Hi, this is Margaret Maloney, and welcome to the Death Dhamma podcast. Together we will consider life, death, and impermanence. Because in between birth and death, we lose things. Not just our glasses and our keys. We lose identities, relationships, ideas, and more. But what we can gain right now is facing this together, and we will gain freedom, peace, and progress on our path. Greetings, my friends and Death Dhamma community members. Today, I am happy to share with you some thoughts around wisdom, specifically ideas around the wisdom that we've been exposed to from our 12 wise teachers on season 2 of the Death Dhamma. You know, if you're open, life and the people around you can be your teacher. Everyone has loss and suffering, right? Whether they've heard of Buddhism or not. Now, in your Buddhist practice, it will serve you well to find and follow a credible teacher. We live in a time where we have access to many teachers. And although I am a Theravada Buddhist, on the Death Dhamma podcast, I take the opportunity to speak with individuals from different traditions and on different stages of the path. And definitely, these individuals lead me to think and question and confirm or deny my own beliefs. At the end of the day, I rely on a teacher from my own tradition. When I was new, and I think that compared to those who've practiced for 40 years or 30 years, I'm still new, I investigated different teachers and traditions. In fact, when I decided to pursue an advanced degree in Buddhist Studies, I knew it would help me learn more and that it would help me find my place in a world with many Buddhist traditions. Well, here we are together, the Death Dhamma community, on our paths, in our Buddhist practices, listening to others, and discerning what is wisdom. With that question in mind, here are some pieces of wisdom that our 12 wise teachers of Season 2 have offered. Everyone is grieving something. The purpose of Season 2 was to discuss impermanence and grief that did not specifically stem from the death of a loved sentient being. And when Shelley Knight made this observation, that everyone is grieving something, it really put things into perspective. In a culture where, until recently, grief has not been openly discussed, this is an important reminder. On any given day, anyone we encounter is carrying some type of grief. What an important call for compassion. In their own way, most of our teachers reminded us of the importance of compassion. And compassion is part of most of our traditions. It might be emphasized differently, but it's there. Meditation and retreats can be very helpful, but they're not a magical elixir, or as sometimes you have heard me say, it's not the magic Buddhist no-suffering pill, right? When you engage in meditation or go on a retreat, do so with reasonable expectations. One session on the cushion will not rid you of all suffering, unless you're, one of those special monks in some of the suttas. But with no disrespect, I'm thinking most of us are not. When you come home from a retreat, you come back to the world as you left it. This does not mean that you cannot change how you interact with the world. The real world and on the retreat world are different for most of us. And we live on and off the cushion, right? We live alone, we live with others, and our practice takes place in all of these conditions. Now, as Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo said to me in season 1, yes, I'm reaching back to season 1 because this is a piece of wisdom that was particularly poignant for me. She said, meet yourself where you are. Now, technically, I think she said meet others where they are, but I've always extrapolated because I realized, yes, we need to meet others where they are, and we should extend ourselves that same understanding and compassion and meet ourselves where we are. Otherwise, how can we grow, right? And in our lives, on and off the cushion, what we expect to happen may not happen. And what we do not expect is going to happen. And then, like Terry Tucker, who lives with an incurable form of cancer, you make decisions. And the key word is live. Live, live, live. How will you live when the clock is ticking? Because, by the way, the clock is ticking for all of us, right? So even if this season was more about different types of impermanence and maybe smaller forms of impermanence, it's still called the Death Dhamma podcast because it's still about getting us ready for the ultimate adventure there. So look for your purpose, keep an open heart, and impermanence might not be so bad. No matter what we face, the truth is that when sadness or loneliness or even happiness arises, these emotions have come from our own creation. We need to remember, we have created our own emotions, whatever they are, and however it happens. Together, we are all facing some pretty significant encounters. We've got climate crisis, the invasion in Ukraine, and we're in different phases in terms of the pandemic and other new diseases and health things that we're learning about in our world and in our lives, right? Sukima reminded me of the importance of making peace with the truth of how things are. And when we can establish this kind of peace, we can still live joyfully in the midst of everything that is going on. In order to reach this mindset, we do need to let go of our fear, to let go of our resistance to what may or may not happen. Resistance. In one way or another, our 12 wise teachers reminded us that it is resistance that contributes to our suffering. Resistance is aversion. That is a form of clinging. And clinging leads to dukkha. And there it is again, front and center, what we deal with in our human existence. Impermanence is a gift. Sometimes it's a gift that's hard to accept. You know, like that gift you unwrap and you don't understand why somebody gave it to you and they're insisting that they picked it out just for you because you needed it. Yeah, it is kind of like that. And the sooner that we accept that gift, the sooner that we will reap the benefits. You know, or as Wendy Block suggested, keep anicca in mind all the time. With all of these thoughts in mind, I thought that I would like to leave us with a poem. Sukima introduced me to this poem. It's called One Art, and it's by Elizabeth Bishop. And I'm not reading the whole thing, but there's a passage that I thought really worked well for us. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. And that, my friends, is just some of the wisdom we have been handed. And now it's up to you to skillfully discern what do you consider to be the wisdom that's going to support you on your path. See you next time. You've been listening to the Death Dhamma podcast with your host, Margaret Maloney. Thank you so much for being here. Come find me on margaretmaloney.com, margaretmeloni.com. And until we meet again, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be at ease, and may you be free from suffering. Bye for now.